Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Today, we have a very interesting session, business model canvas. Now, first of all, before we start, let me give you a trigger, why we came up with this topic. Uh, as Surbi mentioned, TIE has a lot of interesting initiative, including TIE Women Entrepreneurship Program, and we are going to start accepting entries for that program. So a lot of queries were coming that, how do we put our ideas on paper? How do we structure our ideas? Because we also meet a lot of entrepreneurs, where they're very passionate about their idea. They would like to talk for hours about their idea. But the challenge is, how do you put that idea in the right structure or a framework? Because when you meet a potential investor or a partner, or when you participate in such events, such programs like TIE Women Entrepreneur or other such programs, you need to write it down. So I think today we are going to do that exercise, that how do you put your idea into a right structure. At the same time, we'll also evaluate and try to understand you know what we need to have in a business idea. So let's look at ideas from different perspective, and that is the whole exercise. So we'll give you a lot of triggers. We'll make it as interactive as possible. I think Surbi has already shared you the business plan canvas. Okay, so we'll not get into the much detail, but I'll just scan through what are the key ingredients of a business plan canvas, and then we'll have a question and answer session. So let me begin with business model canvas. So I think the first thing that we need, a business model canvas or a business plan or some concept note about any business idea. The primary reason is this, that you don't know what you're thinking until you read what you have written. A lot of times we feel that, oh, the idea is in our head. So we feel that, yaar, atlo saras idea, this idea is so nice, it's going to be a very moonshot idea. But when you start putting that idea on paper, and when you read that idea, then you realize the challenges that you may face. Then you realize the strengths and weaknesses of your idea. So writing gives you clarity. And the whole exercise, whether it's a business model canvas, whether it's just a simple one-page concept note, or whether it's a long business plan, writing gives you clarity. So I think that is the first step of putting your idea on paper. So I think with that, the first thing that comes to our mind is, what is a business model? In a simple word, business model is how you do your business. It's as simple as that. But if you dig deeper, there are broadly few questions you need to answer to understand or gather the essence of your business model. And what are those simple questions? Because as they say, once you ask the right questions, the answer lies in those right questions. So you need to understand what kind of questions you need to ask. So first question that comes to our mind is, what do you offer to the customer? I think you have to be very, very clear about what you're offering to the customer. What is your value proposition? That is the first question you need to answer. Second question is, who? So I think, see, as you see, these are very simple questions. There is no jargon. This, so questions like what, who, how, why, these are the questions we normally use to answer. So I think we also need to answer those simple questions, and the answer lies in those questions only. So first is, what do you offer the customers? Your value proposition, your product, your services, the benefits that you offer. Then the next question comes is, who is your target customer? You have to have absolute clarity on that. Very simple. So what, who, then how is the value proposition created? How you're going to deliver your product or services? So your delivery mechanism. Then finally, why is it profitable? Is it going to make money? So your revenue model comes into picture. So broadly, these four components gives you a broad idea about what your business model is: value proposition, value chain, revenue model, and at the center are your customers. So this is broadly a business model. So if you answer these simple four questions also, you get a lot of clarity about your business idea. So this is the first step. So in a nutshell, if you have to say, a business model basically describes how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value. You create value, you deliver value, and you capture value. Now that is the exercise, that is the fundamental activity of any business. So business model basically describes these three things: creating, delivering, and capturing value. And our business model canvas have certain ingredients, certain parts who will put this framework in a right structure. So what is a business model canvas? So many years back, someone created this business model canvas, which is primarily a visual chart of different elements that describes the product's value proposition, infrastructure, customer, and finances. Okay, so what are those key elements? So broadly, there are 9 boxes that you can see on the screen right now. So there are 9 key elements of a business model canvas: customer segments, customer relationship, channels, value proposition, revenue stream, cost structure, key activities, key resources, key partners. There are broad 9 elements. Now the question is, why these 9 elements? So let's understand that. Now let's break up these elements into different parts. One is basically you're answering the how you are creating value. Okay. Then what value you are creating, your value proposition. Then for whom, what value, to whom you're delivering the value, your customers, and then capturing value. So cost and revenue. So broadly, if you see, it's about creating value, that focuses on key activities, key resources, key partners. It's about delivering value, that focuses on customer segments, customer relationship, channels, and about capturing value, which talks about revenue streams and cost structure. So these are the broad elements, and this is how a business model is structured. And if you see, so the internal parts are your key activities, key resources, partnership, and cost structure is internal to the organization. What is external to the organization is customers, customer relationships, segments, channels, revenue. And at the core of a business model is value proposition. So this is a business model canvas in a nutshell. Now we'll dig deeper into each key elements of this business model. Now before that, first let's understand why use a business model canvas. Very simple. First, to map existing business model. 2, to design a new business model. And basically to visualize and communicate a simple story. Now this is very important because many a times your investor or a partner or some mentor, they don't have a lot of time to listen to you. So you need to put your thoughts in a very structured and simple way. So business model canvas gives you the structure. It simplifies your story. Then business model canvas also helps you in a couple of things. One, as you can see now, it is basically channelizing your thought process. So you have very focused thinking. At the same time, there are different key elements of the organization which has a flexibility to correlate with each other. We'll come to that. And also, most importantly, it brings transparency. It basically clearly communicates how you're going to do the core activities about creating value. So this is basically the key function of a business model canvas. So now, as we were discussing, 9 elements of key business model canvas: key activities, resources, partners, value proposition, customer segments, customer relationship, channels, cost structure, revenue stream. So creating value, value proposition, delivering value, and capturing value. Now let's understand each component first. Now before that, I think as you can see, this value word is coming again and again. What is this value? Is pricing a value? No. So price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Now this is a fundamental difference. So value is a solution to customers' problem or something that brings them joy, or both. So how do you create value? You offer a faster product, cheaper product, better quality product, convenience, customer experience. You change habits, lifestyles. So there are multiple ways to create value. So fundamentally, it is basically the benefit that you give to the customers. Basically, normally we tend to have a pricing. We normally consider price as a value, but price is just cost plus. What you give as a value is much more than just the price. It is the benefit. It is what brings happiness to your customers. So that is what value all about. So value, understanding value and understanding what value your business is creating, that is the core. Lot of times we think business as transactional, that you're buying something and selling something. That's trading, that is transactional. But what value is created is it's long term, and that's why you can unlock value. And that's why in the startup world we always keep talking about valuation. What is the valuation? The core of valuation is what value you create. So that value could be how many customers you have captured over a period of time, how loyal those customers are, how favorably they are looking at your brand. These are the values, these are the intangible values that a business creates, and that's gives you those exorbitant valuations. So I think understanding value is the first step. Then I think second most important component of this 9 key ingredient is what customers want. So if you answer these two questions, what is a value and who are my customers and what they want. Now there are different ways to understand what your customers want. One, you can do your own market research. You can ask a lot of questions. There are a lot of tools available. One you can see on the screen right now. There are a lot of complicated tools. There are a lot of simple tools. The core is to understand what your customers want. You find out their pain point. You find out what makes them happy. You find out how you solve their problems. So if once you understand that, they are ready to pay you for the services that you offer or the product that you offer. So understanding what they want. Now, when you say understanding, it does not mean just the simplistic in normally we say the psychographic profile or a demographic profile. You need to go beyond that, because nowadays the customers are not that simple, because the touch points have increased a lot, the exposure has increased a lot. So now to understand the psyche of the customer, we need to dig deeper. So we need to ask questions like, what does she think and feel? What does she see in her environment? What does she say and do? What does she hear? What are her pain points? What are her gains, wants, needs? These are the questions. Once you answer, then you can be able to correlate your values with your customers. So once you crack that, all the other elements automatically will fall in place. Also, you can ask those questions. So I'll share this presentation with you so you can go through this later. So the bottom line is, once you crack what is the value proposition and what your customers you want, then to put other key elements in a business plan model becomes much easier. And mind you, whenever we are asked about a lot of people say, okay, share your business plan or a business idea, we start with product. Oh, I have developed a cutting edge product that with this kind of technology. So people spend 10 minutes, 20 minutes just talking about the product. I think the real thing you need to answer is what problem that product or a service is solving. So you start from the customer's point of view, how you are helping them. So once you have this value and customers' needs correctly identified, you'll be able to come to the point very quickly. So I think that's the reason why answering these two questions becomes very critical. Now we'll come to quickly go through the key question that you need to ask for your business model canvas. Now I think Surbhi has already shared an Excel file with questions and all these elements. So you can also parallelly keep doing this exercise. I am sure some of you must have already started doing it. So whatever queries you have, we can address those queries post this presentation. But broadly, as we are discussing, value proposition is the first thing that you need to answer. That what exit problem are we trying to solve? Is this a relevant problem? What is the solution that we are developing? How much value are we delivering to the client? What are the main features of the value proposition? So you need to answer those questions to come up with absolute clarity is what is value proposition. And also we'll also share a couple of examples of value proposition in the later half of this presentation, so that you will know how do you actually describe the value proposition. So this is the first and key ingredient of the business model canvas. Then as we're discussing customer segments, now this is very important. A lot of time people say, oh, the whole everyone is my customer. Everyone is never your customer. You have to be very clear about customer segment, what customer group. So you need to ask questions like, who are the most important customers? Who is influencing them? Which are the customers' more important habits? How they think, where do they go? So you need to dig those, you need to answer those questions to identify the primary customer segment. That is the second key part, and you need to write it down. Whether you have a beauty product, then you need to identify what kind of age group, what kind of psychographic profile, what are her likes, what are her motives of using those products. So you need to have an absolute, you need to personify your customers very clearly, so that this part helps you do that. It personifies your customers. We can directly visualize how your customer will look like. So second part is customer segment. Then third is customer relationship. So basically, how we are going to get to those customers, how we are going to retain those customers, how we're going to grow our customers. So what kind of relationship we are trying to build? Is it a very, very personal relationship? Is it if it's a software driven solution, it is a very automated relationship. So we need to be have very, very clarity about what kind of relationship we are going to enjoy with the customers, and how we are going to acquire and grow those customer base. So that is the third part. Fourth is channels, the distribution channels. So here we need to ask questions like, how are we going to communicate the value proposition to the customers? What distribution channel is preferred? How we are going to reach out to those customers? What kind of media should we use? Are they are all customers online, or if they are offline, how do I reach out to them? Should we use an outdoor medium? Should we use home screen? Should we use theater advertising? Should we use newspapers, magazines, or just Instagram will do? So once you have the channel defined, how do you get in touch with those customers. So that gives you clarity on that. And ultimately, you need to ask this question: what are the channels that deliver the most bang for the buck? Because ultimately, you are going to spend money on these channels to acquire those customers. So get clarity on how do you reach out to the customers. Then obviously revenue streams, we always seek a revenue model. So what are the types of revenue sources? What are the pricing models? Okay. So for example, in the startup world, we have different business models. One is an e-commerce business model, which is a transactional business model. Then we have a free model. For example, Google is a free model. You get searches for free, but then they make money from advertising. Zoom, we are using Zoom right now. So Zoom has a freemium model. A lot of us are using a free version of Zoom, but then to get certain additional features, we need to pay. So you have a freemium model. Sometimes some people will have a subscription model. Okay, so we also need to have a very, very absolute clarity about what kind of revenue streams we have. In some cases, you have a very, very single revenue stream. But in a lot of businesses, there could be multiple revenue streams. So you need to identify how do you improve your revenue stream. How do you have a multiple revenue stream so that you can monetize your products and services better. Okay. Also, you also need to have a clarity on what are the share of each of those revenue sources so that you know where to focus on. So revenue model is a fundamental thing because that's where you make money. Then, so these are basically 4 components for external to the organization. Now we come to the internal activities. Fundamentally key activities. Fundamentally is key activities. So what are those key activities? So if you're a manufacturing organization, if you're a product driven organization, manufacturing becomes key activity. Services organization, so you need to, so for example, in a lot of businesses, in pharmaceutical, for example, research is a key activity. So you need to identify what are the key activities for your business, and how do you automate those activities? Should you outsource those activities? Because for example, let's say if you're launching a fashion brand. Now, when you're launching a fashion clothing brand, you need to design your clothes, you need to manufacture, you need to deliver, you need to sell and deliver, broadly. So now, whether if designing is your key activity or a core activity, then it has to be ideally in-house activity. You can outsource the logistics part. You can sometimes outsource the selling mechanism. Okay. But then you need to answer questions like whether you want to have manufacturing as your core activity, which would be an in-house, or you want to even outsource manufacturing part. So you need to identify which are your key activities, because that should be your core, that should be linked to your core competency. You need not end up doing everything in your business because that's absolutely unmanageable. So you need to have very, very clarity about what are the key activities. So you answer those questions and you get the right set of key activities, and you cannot outsource your core activity. So you have to be very, very clear about what is your core activity, and we'll see certain examples of that, those activities also. Then is the fun, very, very important question, the resources. Okay. So what are our critical resources? When we talk about resources, we'll always think about, physical infrastructure or intellectual property, or, financial resources or human resources. Okay. So out of all this, you need to have absolute clarity about what is your key resource. For example, if it's a manufacturing company, your infrastructure is your key resource, your plant, your high-tech machinery. If you are in a service business, your employees are key resource. If you are a companies like PNG and HLL, your brand is your key resource, because ultimately you are creating brands. So you also have to have clarity about what are the key resources. Is employees key? Is your IP that you create is a key? Is the patent that you created is a key resource? You need to have clarity on that. What are the key resources and how do you obtain those and how do you keep them? So key resources, you write it down. So first is key activities, key resources. Then finally, key partnerships. Because in business nowadays, you can't do everything on your own. You need to collaborate. You need to have partnerships. So as we're discussing, you may partner with a logistics firm for delivery. You may partner with, you know, a marketing firm to help you with promotions. So you need to identify what kind of partners you want. Do you need a distribution partner? If you're operating in Gujarat, do you need partners, regional partners, international partners? So what kind of partnership you need? Do you need partnership in the supply chain? Do you need partnership in any other activities? So you identify those partners and list them down, because those key relationships, those key partnerships also matters a lot to deliver value. So key partnerships, key resources, key activities. That's how you create value, and then you deliver that value to your customers. Then comes the finally the cost structure. I think most of us have a very clear idea about what is the cost structure. Broadly, it could be your office, plant, machinery, manpower, salary, promotional expenses. Let's list down those cost structure. That what is the cost that is incurred to create those values. So if you answer those broadly, these 9 key elements, you'll get the big picture. That this is how I create value, this is how I deliver value, and this is how I capture value. So these are the broad 9 parts. Now let's see a few examples of business model canvas. Okay, obviously certain business model examples I've taken from Google, so I'm sure you can find out also. So for example, this is a Google business model canvas. Okay, so this all you can find on Google. So I'll just skip that part and I'll come to certain business model canvas. Those are relevant to us. Okay, so LinkedIn has their own business model canvas. Swiggy has their own business model canvas. Now let's understand, for example, because we are in tier 2 cities, so our businesses are very different. So let's say, for example, if you're in a food business, for example, when I go to Oro University a lot, so though a lot of students, they have I want to have a food truck. So food, because we are in Surat, so food is one, on top of our mind. So let's say if you have a food truck of soups and juices, how do I put my idea on paper? Okay, so let's start with the value proposition. What you are going to deliver is the healthy beverages. It's your value proposition. You're creating healthy beverage. You're selling healthy beverages, soups and juices. Okay, who are your customer segments? So basically, your food truck is typically parked near a park or a jogging park. So park visitors becomes your customer segments. Then your relationship with your customers is very personal, because most of the time, because you are in a one place, most of the time you know those customers very well. So your relationship is very personal. Your channel is on-site channel, because you don't have any other mechanism to sell your product. So then how do you make money? You basically, by selling beverage, you make money. Then let's come to the creating value part. One is, what are your key activities? You make soups and juices, and you do marketing and selling. Very simple activity. Then key resources, you need machines to make soups and juices, and also you need marketing and selling mechanism, people to deliver that. The cost structure is basically ingredients, equipment, salary, promotional expenses. And who are your possible partners? Because you have a food truck, municipality becomes kind of your partner, because you need to take permission from them. So this is very raw, simplified business of a food truck. So this could be a very simple business model canvas. Now let's come to a little another set of business. For example, let's say if you have a software company or software as a service company. I think a lot of people in Surat also, they are into this business. So if you have to write down business model canvas for a SaaS company, how do I do that? Okay, so let's first start with what value proposition that you're creating. So let's typically let's assume that your business is creating something like easily accessible software to improve business productivity in collaboration with some additional features. Now here you have to be very clear that value proposition cannot be generic. you have to be very, very specific. So for example, maybe all software, all automation tools will provide you improved business productivity and collaboration, but then you need to add something which is very unique to you also, which becomes your differentiator. So you need to write down a differentiator in your value proposition. Okay, so once you're clear on that, then you come to the what kind of customer segment. So SMEs and business users becomes your customer segment. Then what is your relationship with your customers? So you have customer conferences, you provide analytics to your customers, you provide online support to your customers. This is how you maintain relationship with your customers. Then what kind of channels you use to reach out to customers? One is self-service, salesman going to your customers, selling it. Then you may have a distributor or a broker network across, region or globally. Then you obviously may have web, and your software can be directly downloaded from the app store. So very, very informal automated channel. So this is how basically you're delivering value. Then what are the key activities that you need? You need to develop software, you need to maintain the software, and you need to keep developing the pipeline of new features. So this becomes your key activity. Then what are the key resources? Obviously your developers are key, but at the same time the code base, the original source code becomes your key resource. So you need to protect your source code also. So that becomes your key resources. Then who are your key partners? So those companies who provide infrastructure as a service, because your software is basically loaded on those platforms. That becomes your kind of partner. So then you come to the cost structure: employees, office admin, server infrastructure cost, marketing promotion cost. And revenue stream is basically usage based, or by number of users, or by transaction, or by subscription. So you can definitely have your multiple revenue stream. So if you see, this is typically a software company's business model canvas, and this gives you an idea about what you need to do in-house, what you can outsource, how much financial requirement you have. So it gives you a big picture about your organization. Now let's assume that you are in an online clothing brand. So how do you work on it? For example, hypothetically, what is your value proposition? So for example, if there is a brand which is into effortlessly, they are targeting stylish women, offering trendy casual wear clothes that have a positive social impact. So there is a fashion brand, but with some kind of social message. So that is your value proposition. So in that case, they may offer some organic cotton based material. They may have ethical sourcing as their one of the USPs. So that is their value proposition. What customer segments you're targeting, you have to be very, very clear about that key. Women in their 20s and 40s, working professional, urban, digital savvy, because it's an online only clothing brand, and those basically socially responsible women. So you need to identify those women on those channels where they are active on those social causes also. So that is how you define your customer segment. What customer relationship? You maintain those relationships with social media, referrals, online ads, what channel you prefer. So direct to customer e-commerce, or you may have a pop-up stores also. So this becomes your customer capturing mechanism. Then key activities is identifying trends, designing, purchasing, manufacturing, supply chain, CRM, sales. This becomes your key activities. Key partners could be your textile suppliers, logistics, marketing agencies. Cost structure also varies. Your revenue streams also vary. So broadly, if you see, this gives you a structured thought process, because a lot of time when we think of a business model canvas, we have when a business idea, we have a very, very single-minded approach to it. Okay, this is my idea and I'm going to find some customers. But then idea requires a lot of kind of an ecosystem around it to deliver those value to your customers. So you need to look at that idea from a very, very holistic view you need to take. So this business model canvas helps you look at that idea from a different point of view. Now, before you even do the business model canvas exercise, two things are very, very important. One is you need to research before you start. You need to have a lot of information about your customers, your market, your environment. And once you complete your business model canvas, you need to review it very, very critically. So for example, I'll skip this part basically. So basically, you need to have a market analysis, competitive analysis, you need to have a macroeconomic analysis, you need to have foresight about trend watching. So you need to look at your idea from different point of view. For example, in today's time, how this coronavirus or COVID is going to change the market scenario, how it's going to change customer behavior. Now, for that, you need to re-look at your business model. You may have to tweak your value proposition. So once you have structure, it's easier to tweak that structure. So you need to answer those questions, also very important. So now, just to sum up, this is basically broadly your business model canvas. How, what, for whom. Broadly 9 elements. So finally, I would only say that, a lot of time we don't give too much time to the entrepreneurs to tell their entire story. So the elevator pitch should be very, very crisp and simple. So for example, once, Steven Spielberg was asked, how do you judge a film idea? So he very interestingly said, if you can't write your business film story on back of a visiting card, you do not have a clarity about what is the story. I think same things applies to any business idea also, that if you can't put your idea on a single line, you don't get it yourself. So instead of getting into a detailed 40-50 pager business plan, you can have a simple 1-pager business model canvas. Now that will help you get those, get that clarity about your elevator pitch, or 30-second or 1 minute elevator pitch. And that's how you basically structure your thought process and get clarity about these ideas. Thank you so much, guys. I think now we can take up questions. So over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you, Kashyap bhai, for such an amazing eye-opener session. I think after this session, इस सेशन के बाद सभी लोग अपने बिजनेस को देखने का एक व्यूइंग एंगल चेंज कर देंगे ऑनगोइंग बिजनेसेस के लिए डेफिनेटली. एंड अगर कोई नया बिजनेस प्लान कर रहे होंगे तो डेफिनेटली एक स्ट्रक्चर वे उन्हें मिल गया है अपना बिजनेस बनाने के लिए. सो हियर वी कैन स्टार्ट विद द क्वेश्चंस. आई थिंक राजेश जी ने कश्यप भाई के लिए कुछ लिखा है. राजेश जी, यू हैव अ क्वेश्चन? Can we unmute Rajesh ji, please?
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Rajesh ji.
Hello. Yeah.
Came to Rajesh bhai.
I'm Majama. Very nice, very informative session. आपने जो बताया ये कि स्टीवन स्पिलबर्ग का आपने एग्जांपल दिया, तो can you share some example? You had shared once in Oro. I forgotten that. About वो मूवी की स्टोरी इन अ विजिटिंग कार्ड.
अच्छा. सो बेसिकली स्टीवन स्पिलबर्ग द ईटी, जो आई थिंक कोई मिल गया जो बना था उसके ऊपर से ईटी, बेसिकली स्टीवन स्पिलबर्ग ने स्टूडियो को सिर्फ एक ही चीज बताई थी कि young boy helps alien get back to his planet.
Great, thanks.
Okay. So itna nutshell mein agar if we have clarity about our idea also, so I think that because otherwise we'll give a paragraph about what we do, that means we don't get that clarity also. So I think that the smaller the better, especially in this scenario. Yeah,
wonderful.
Thank you, Rajesh ji. Kashyap bhai. So do we have another question? I think Fatima wanted to say something. Fatima, you are there?
Hi Surbhi.
Hi Fatima.
I wanted to say that the session was really amazing, needed to understand, and they were really explained very well. So I think there are no questions to be asked. Everything was explained very well actually. Thank you, Mr. Kashyap. It was great listening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, Nishan ji, please.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
I will request all, अगर किसी को question है तो please do raise hand or write in chat. So after Nishan ji, we can take Swati and then Anil.
Yes.
Okay, Nishan ji.
Yeah. First of all, a very nice presentation, and this was my very first time I'm listening to Kashyap sir. My long-term wish gets fulfilled today. Thank you so much. So Kashyap sir, I have two questions. First thing is how much time we should get into this planning thing, because you might have been seen that filling all those boxes and all. How much time actually should person give it to planning? Because we get into a lot of in the planning stage. So when the time of action, the energy gets down, because half of the or more of the energy goes into planning thing, these and this. So how much time one should have into planning thing? That's a very important. Second thing is, if we have a complete plan with us and everything, still according to the situation, we may sometime have to make a change. or we may have to sometime make a switch. So what in that situation? These two things.
Right, sure. Thanks, Nishant. I'll answer both the questions. First is about the timing. So how much time do we need to, write a business model, or, write a pitch deck or a business plan? I think once we have clarity about what we are doing, the writing is just an exercise. Okay. For example, a lot of times we have also seen that if you ask an entrepreneur, to give one pager note about their business idea, they struggle. They don't come back to us for months. Okay. But if I ask them simple questions, the kind of questions that I have just put in my presentation, who is your target customers, what product USP offering, they have some clarity about it. So I think first and foremost, before you start writing, get clarity about what you're doing, because writing something, you just have to type it. Okay. Ultimately, the thought process matters a lot. So it's all about what is your readiness, how well you understand the market, your competitors. So I think before you put your, pen and paper together, let's do a lot of homework, a lot of research to gather the data and then start writing. So maybe business model canvas, we have seen that, the entrepreneurs who are prepared, they do this exercise in a couple of hours and with absolute clarity. Okay. And those who are not very, very clear, they take months, because, they'll come up with the business model canvas, which is so very, very raw and unstructured, that they need to go back and come back. So that gives a lot of time. So ultimately it's about clarity, whether you have that clarity about that. So I think that clarity will come from the value proposition. I think you answered that one question, the value proposition and the customer segment. All the other elements of your business model canvas will automatically fall in place. So timing is basically linked to the understanding and clarity about with the entrepreneurs. So that's one. Two, yes, you have asked a very, very valid question. What if the business environment changes? And I think now recently we have seen it. The COVID-19, nobody was expecting it. So no scenario planning can help you with this kind of events. So in those scenarios, you need to relook at your idea also. So here again, you ask those fundamental questions. Is your customer still in need of this product or service? Is this value proposition still exciting enough to my customers or not? If not, if the environment has changed, how do I tweak my product and value proposition so that it is still attractive to my customers? So I think, we need to be very, very dynamic in our approach. You cannot say, "Ki ek baar business plan likh diya, to ye patthar pe lakeer hai, and I'm not going to change it." It doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
because
that's what exactly happens.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So external environment keeps changing, because business, you don't do business in your own home in a controlled environment. Okay. So when world changes, when the external environment changes, you need to adopt it. So how well you adopt it is up to you. One. Secondly, for example, in the startup space, we use this word pivot very, very frequently. Okay, yaar, humne ye shuru kiya tha, but now we are doing this. Now that is actually also perfectly fine, as long as you have a logical reason to change it. Sometimes, हम जो बोलते हैं वो हवा का झोंके की तरह काफी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स घूमते रहते हैं कि इधर हवा है तो आप ऐसा नहीं कर सकते हो. Okay, so you have to have some logical reasoning for why you are changing it, but you should be absolutely ready to adapt to changing environment.
Thank you, Kashyap bhai, for answering. I think connecting to that point, Anupama has asked a question in chat that what is the life of business model canvas? How often we have to review it? So I think Anupama Kashyap bhai has answered the question. Kashyap bhai, you want to add on few points on that?
I think yes. I think I almost answered that question. Yes.
Yeah. So next we'll go to Swati from Coimbatore. Welcome, Swati, to TiE Surat. Swati, you can ask your question. Hello, Swati, you have raised your hand. Swati, hello.
Ma'am, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's audible. Welcome,
Yes,
Swati.
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, and thanks to Punjabi ji and Kashyap ji for having me here. It's a wonderful session. And my only question is that what would be the key resources and key activities and the key partnerships, and what would be the way to identify them, and how often should we review that?
So, yeah. So I think the key partnership and key resources required depends on what kind of value proposition you're offering to what set of customers. I think if once you have clarity on that, then we can go back to the drawing board saying, okay, now to deliver this value, this is how I'm going to create value. So again, there are multiple activities you need to do to create that value. Now, what activity you should do it on your own depends on what core competency you have as an entrepreneur, or your team. What is the composition of your team that can deliver or create those kind of values? So certain activities you need to do in-house, certain activities you may have to outsource. For example, as we were just discussing about a fashion brand for that matter. Okay, so designing for some is a core activity, but for some they outsource the design and manufacturing becomes a core activity. Okay, or some it's just an e-commerce platform that they create is their core activity. They outsource the designing part, they outsource the manufacturing part. So ultimately it's up to the entrepreneur to answer themselves what they are good at, and then let's focus on the core activities, because in the beginning when you start your own new venture, you have limited resources, so it's not practical to do everything on your own. So I think you focus on your core and you outsource everything else. And as far as reviewing a business plan model is concerned, I think earlier also I asked, it depends on how the environment changes. Sometimes you need not change your business plan for a very long time. Sometimes you need to pivot very quickly. So it depends on your external environment.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Surbhi.
Thank you, Swati. Thank you, Kashyap ji. So we have one more question in the chat box. Mugam Bigai, I'm sorry if I spelled it wrong. She has a question. Can you please share us some tips to highlight our unique factor of our business?
Sorry, unique?
Unique factor of our business. Can you please share us some tips to highlight our unique
to highlight our unique factors?
Yeah.
Right. So I think as we were discussing earlier, okay, what is so unique about your business? So that is basically defining your value proposition. Now, as I mentioned earlier, value or your USP is a solution to customers' problems, or something that makes them happy. So you need to ask yourself, what problem are you solving? What pain point you are addressing? Or what are you bringing some joy or happiness to your customers? So for example, there is a need and there is no need, but you create a want for it. So ultimately you need to answer those questions. For example, if you see other businesses, okay, they focus on that pain points. Book my show focus on a pain point that यार आपको Friday को line में खड़ा रहना पड़ता है theater के बाहर. Okay, let's solve that problem. So convenience was offered, so that is the pain that they resolved. So similarly you also need to ask that question. So then it could be something that already exists in the market, but you're doing it faster, cheaper, better quality at the same price, convenience, a better customer experience, or sometimes even changing the habits. For example, Facebook and Instagram, there was no need for Facebook in this world, but then there was a need to connect with human beings. Now those guys identify those needs, and then it changed the lifestyle or customer habits. So you need to identify those needs. It could be hidden needs, or it could be very apparent needs. So ultimately you need to identify those needs, those pain points, and then design a value proposition accordingly. Also you need to keep in mind how different you are from the competitors. So I think if you have mixed both the things, then you'll come to your value proposition.
Thank you so much. Sorry, this is Mukambika here from Coimbatore. So thank you, Kashyap, for this answer. So I just want, I think you've given me the answer, but is there any format that I can present? Because say, for example, I am into manufacturing garments. So if I have to say uniqueness is giving a unique design products. So is there any format where I can put it in my presentation or in one sheet of paper?
Correct. So actually, it's just like business model canvas, there is something called value proposition canvas also, but that could be a separate discussion altogether. But just to answer those, your questions very specifically. So as you said, you are into manufacturing of garments, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So I think I was just giving that example only. So for example, when you're manufacturing garments, so do you have your own brand or you're supplying to someone?
So we are uniform manufacturers. So we have our own brand. We are a startup.
Okay. So I think, see, for example, I think you're a uniform supplier. So I think school becomes your primary customers. So see, in certain businesses, you have limitation of what kind of customer segments you're targeting. For example, in case of uniform manufacturer, because your customer segment is very, very limited and clearly defined, there's very little freedom that you have under that. Okay. Now there you can definitely innovate. For example, in today's time, okay, let's take today's time, because of this COVID and people have become health conscious, can you bring certain, maybe antimicrobial processed fabric for school kids? Okay. So that could be a premium offering, same uniform, so same color and everything, but then there are two sets of uniforms, one with the regular uniforms, cotton uniform, and then some processed uniform which provides some additional benefits, maybe health benefits, some other benefits. So that becomes your differentiator. Nobody else is offering it. So ultimately it's up to you how you want to innovate.
Okay.
Okay. So I think there are different ways to approach it, because in your case segment is very limited, because you need to play around that. You need to keep eyes and ears open about what is happening around you and understand your parents and children's needs. So I think that will give you a lot of triggers.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your.
Thank you, Mugab Bagai, for asking that question. Actually, I also got to know that there's something like value proposition canvas as well. Thank you, Kashyap bhai.
Thank
So,
you.
one more question
Hello.
is there from, hello.
Hello.
Uh, yes. Can we know your name, please? Hello. Please mention your question in the chat box, please, sir. We will move on to the next question, that is Anupama's question. Is a business model canvas is a plan or a one-page blueprint of entire business? Hello.
Right. Yes. Okay. So as I think we were discussing, so business model canvas is a broad framework. It is not a detailed business plan. It is basically to give you clarity about the key activities of your business. And as we were discussing, how you create value, how you capture value, how you deliver value. Okay. So business plan is a much more detailed activity. For example, reaching out to customers, what is your marketing strategy? You need to have a separate uh, 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 marketing plan for that matter. For your creating value, we have defined the key activities, key resources, and key partnership. But then when you want to put your ideas into action, you need to have very, very detailed operational plan also. The exercise of blue business model canvas is not to give you a business plan, to give you an idea that to deliver these values, the value proposition, what are the activities you need to do, so that you are very, very clear about just creating product is not the key activity. You need to also market that product correctly. You need to have the right team also. You need to make money also. You need to identify your right customers also. You need to. So I think business model canvas gives you a holistic idea about a business. Okay, so that then you dig deeper. Then once you say okay, distribution channel is important, then you go deeper. What kind of channel, what kind of marketing and sales strategy, what kind of promotional strategy. So after doing this, you also need to have your operational plan, you need to have your financial plan, you need to have your marketing plan. Those are detailed activities, but this gives you a broader framework. So there's a difference between that. So for example, there's an elevator pitch, which is like just in 1 or 2 minute you describe your business. Then there's a business model canvas, which give you a broad holistic view about your business. And then there's a business model, business plan, or a detailed pitch presentation, which gives you how you're going to take your idea forward. So all those are separate tools, so to say, to give you clarity about your business.
Great. Great answer. I guess Nishant Dalal is having another question related to this point only. So Nishant is asking, should we add upcoming things into a planning stage? Food to cloud kitchen, fashion to e-commerce.
It's G-commerce.
G-commerce. Okay.
Can I just add into it that
Please.
we are into
Please.
so into a startup and a planning mode. These are upcoming trends. Like there in food segment you mentioned, there is a concept coming called cloud kitchen, which is not came yet in our country, specifically in our geography. Then in fashion, there is a term coming called G-commerce, where you can add up your fashion accessory into a gaming thing. So these are upcoming things. But I'm into a startup mode. I'm into this starting mode. Should I add this into my planning thing, or should I just keep it going on a certain level? Then I should add these things into it. Yeah.
Okay. So for example, whether it's a future plan or an existing plan, ultimately, whatever you're going to do is about creating that value. Okay. So in future also, for example, you mentioned G-commerce or you mentioned cloud kitchen. So those are so what is a cloud kitchen? Okay. Cloud kitchen is a different way, different delivering mechanism. So ultimately, if let's say if you're in a restaurant business, hypothetically, let's assume that you're in a restaurant business and you were having a regular restaurant, but now you thought, oh, nobody's coming to my restaurant, so I should have a cloud kitchen. So ultimately, you're not changing your value proposition or your offering. What you're changing is your delivery mechanism, right? So I think you need to look at that way. For example, because cloud kitchen is just a delivering mechanism. So you're not changing. So if you're offering Chinese food, okay, ultimately you're going to offer the same thing on a cloud kitchen, right? Correct. So cloud kitchen becomes a delivery mechanism. So if you see, all those things will fit into a business model canvas anyway. So whether it's a futuristic offering or not. So you can just add that value proposition so that you'll know what are the other related activities around it.
Abhishek Mittal ji has another question. He has actually my question. I was about to ask this. So Kashyap ji, what is the most important factor in business model canvas? Is it product or marketing or distribution channel in manufacturing industries? Important means the crucial part.
Correct. So I think Abhishek joined a little late. So I think we were just discussing that the most important are two things: value and customers. I think these are the two fundamental things. There is nothing beyond that. Okay. But as far as, because a lot of guys are from Surat, so manufacturing, a lot of manufacturers will think, yaar, ye business model canvas where startup ke liye mere liye kya hai? Okay. But it is not like that. So this applies to even the manufacturers also. So let me just put it differently. Okay. So what are the broad business types? So business model canvas helps you define a lot of business types. So there are basically 3 types of businesses. Okay. One is a product business, one is a scope business, I'll come to that, and third is an infrastructure business. Okay. Product business, scope business, and infrastructure business. So what is a product business? Let me give an example. Okay. Let's say Angry Bird, or a Zoom for that matter. Okay. It's a product. Okay. So in a product business, the key resources are typically the talent, key talent that you have, your employees. Okay. So that becomes your product business. Now, once you have clarity on that, the other elements of the business model canvas automatically falls in place. Scope business. What are scope driven businesses? For example, if you're in a SaaS business, or if you're, let's say, an IT company providing some kind of an IT legal services. Okay. So these are scope broad business. You identify a customer segment, okay, and then define a scope of services, and then you deliver those services. Okay. So those are typically a process driven businesses. Okay. So those are so once you have clarity on that, automatically other ingredients will fall in place. Third are the infrastructure driven businesses, okay, where you need manufacturing. So I think this whole manufacturing things comes into infrastructure driven businesses. See, for example, if I am supplying, let's say, pipes, to infrastructure companies, now basically my key resource or my key activity is manufacturing, and for that I need key resource, which is absolutely a high tech efficient manufacturing unit. So that becomes your key activity and key resource requirement. Okay. So depending on what type of business you have, you need to identify your key resources and key activities.
Is it adding my question into that? So is it depending on the stage of your business also, irrespective of the scope or maybe service or product?
Yes and no. For example, a lot of times, when we start, okay, we typically start small, okay, and then when we grow, we keep adding a lot of things, okay. So for example, if you take example of companies like Google, they started a search engine without any revenue model, and now they've grown to offer a lot of things. But if you see the core is basically what they said, ki we are arranging the information. So whatever activities that you do, whether they have a mail or any other product, it is about that, okay, helping you find the right information kind of thing, okay. So similarly, in any business, you start small, but you don't lose focus on your core offering, okay. Then you slowly build on that. For example, let me give an example, take example of Woohoo screen only, okay. So I think you'll be able to relate to it. For example, when you start as a a digital screen service provider, there are two options that you have. One is you put up few screens in one single city. That is a typical journey of any digital screen service provider, okay. So now you have to buy those screens, you have to install those screens, you have to maintain those screens, you have to identify advertisers, okay, you need to deliver that, okay. These are the broad activities. You can do that in one city with, let's say, 50 screens. Now how do you do this in 50 cities with 5,000 screens? That, okay. So now this requires multiple things. One is, do you have that kind of customer base so that you'll be able to manage that kind of overheads and expenses, okay. So you need to build those right set of relationship. You cannot depend on those local retailers to give you ads. Now you need to look at national brands who will give with larger budgets to give you business. Then only you can think of going multi-city and expand, okay. So that is one component. Secondly, should you keep buying those outdoor units and keep installing it? It's very capital intensive game. Scalability will be a challenge. So in those cases, you collaborate. You have local partners and you become kind of a marketing support providers, a kind of an aggregator, because a guy sitting in Rajkot may not have access to the brands who wants to market based out of Bombay. So you tell like, hey boss, I have a relationship with those guys. So then you become an aggregator. So ultimately what you identify is, my core strength is my relationship with advertisers. Okay, then you build your business around it. So then your scalability becomes much easier. You can go to Lucknow and say, hey boss, I have 100 brands, So now that gives you scalability. So you need to identify your core offering. So then automatically it will fall in place.
Thank you, Kashyap bhai. We have next question is from Avni. Avni, if you can please unmute and ask your question. I think that will be easy for you to get the answer. Avni.
Hello, sir. Good evening. Thank you, everyone. It's been a very informative session. Like with all regards, Surbhi, like I'm a doctor by profession. I've been practicing for 13 years, and now that I'm taking up yoga as a profession, and I was planning a startup with that. So when I went through the Excel sheet that you sent, I was very lost with all the terms and everything, because we've like no clue on the commercial side of things being a doctor. So, but sir, thank you very much. The questions are put up in a very easy format. So first question was that after the webinar, can we have assistance after we fill in all the details? And secondly, my question was that there's product and then the other part is marketing, how to launch or what to do. So when I was working on the how, I realized that I'm lagging behind on the what, like my product. Like I take day-to-day classes and I wasn't being able to focus that much on preparing the material for the next day as to because I'm focusing more on individual personal basis of yoga and not a yoga class per se. So how do we go about both the things together? And so what is your...
Correct. So I think your two questions. One is, will you get any support post this webinar or not? The answer is yes. Okay, so Surbhi is leading this, so I'm sure you can reach out to Surbhi and depending on what kind of queries and questions you have, she'll connect you with the right set of mentors. Okay, because in TIE we have a pool of mentors from different, with different skill sets. So I think Surbi will be able to help you with that. Okay, now coming to your question, that yes, you are a relatively new company, a startup, and so that's the challenge most of the entrepreneurs face, that early stage there are too many things to do, and if you focus on one area you lose out on the other area. So that's what typically happens to all the startup founders, and that's why we always say that a startup entrepreneur need to have a 50-hour day, not 24-hour day, because that's the only option they have. So you need to manage that. But just to address your point, yes, so for example, you're a service business, yoga, what I understand is yoga as a service you provide. So now this is basically right now what is I'm assuming is that it is basically based on your skill set. Okay, that you are delivering certain yoga asanas to a very, very personalized solution to your set of students or participants based on their needs, their problem areas. Okay, it's right now it's very, very personal. You may have 20 students, or may go up to 100, 200, whatever, depending on how much time you're spending with them, whether it's a personal class or a group class. Okay, but ultimately your business is currently limited by the time you have. So for example, let's assume that if you're a working mother, okay, or you're a so you have, or you have 8 hours or maybe 6 hours or maybe just 4 hours per day with you. Okay, so now you have to manage everything in that 4 hours. That's one. Two, 4 hours is the limiting factor for your revenue monetization thing. Okay, so you can have 4 hours into 30 days, so you only have 120 hours to monetize. Okay, so now that is the limitation. So what do? So to scale up your kind of business, or for that matter any individual driven businesses, what we typically suggest is, let's start putting your process, your process in a structured format. So that, for example, recently we did something very similar to in a diet space. A dietitian is also similar, same thing. If I am an independent dietitian, I have 8 hours, I spend half an hour with a patient. So maximum in a day I can cater to 14 to 16 customers. So in a month, whatever. Okay, so this is a limiting factor. How do you unlock that? So you start putting your queries in a structured way. So for example, right now you must be spending 15-20 minutes to get those queries. So instead of that, let's have a set of questionnaire. Okay, a standard set of questionnaires, design and send it to your prospective customers. Then based on their answers, let's design a specific set of asanas. For example, in diet case, what we have done is, based on the customer profile, we have designed 27 different types of diet plans. Okay, so now this is automated. Now, right now, the dietitian's intervention is limited to only 15-20% of special cases, because 80% of the guys will going to fit into those 27 categories. So I'm sure this will be very, very applicable to yoga also, that there are set of these 30 problems. Okay, so now you club those problems and then design a solution with that. Okay. So, so diabetic will have this 10 set of questions, you design a program, and then you start appointing your, assistants, so that they can do a lot of regular things on their own. So now your 120 or 200 hours again added with another 200 hours. So you have 400 hours to, and that's how you slowly scale up.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. That was very helpful and very motivating.
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best, Avni. You can reach out to us anytime. So
Thanks
next
so much,
we have a
Avni.
question. Next we have question from Shavi. Shavi, you can unmute and please ask. We will take one more question after this. So please be in line and write your question in chat box if anyone is there. Shavi, you can go ahead.
Hi. So my question was like, what we do is we create content for the 50 plus. It is nothing, it is not at all corporate. It is not at all, there's no major structure, because content will depend on what kind of, subject we are doing. So it changes every single time. So to put it down in the boxes that we've got. So every time we try to sit and write it, or make it more, how do I put it, descriptive, it becomes really difficult. So how do we go about putting very intangible things into these boxes?
Right. So I think you said you are a content creator for 50 plus.
We
So
create lifestyle content for the 50 plus Gujarati market.
can you give me an example?
So for example, we do travel shows which are for the 50 plus Gujarati traveler, and which are not just like, you know, Jatra Javanu and stuff like that.
Right. So I think, see, so so your question is, how do you scale up, or how do you write a business plan for your?
Yeah.
So I think, see, so ultimately what you're creating is content. Okay. So I think you have clarity about your target audience, which is a good thing. Okay. You have clarity about your value proposition, that I'm assuming that engaging content, so that, there is a stickiness, and so that, people are going to spend more time. So there will be an advertising possibility and blah, blah, blah. Right. So this is your value proposition is very clear. Your customer segment is very clear. So I think in that case, how do you, generate more business? Very simple. So basically, right, in your case, your key activity is content creation, and your key resources is people. So I think what you need is the good quality people. Okay. And you need to give them the broad framework about, how do you create content as per your company standard? Because I think each company will have certain philosophy about, these are the basic benchmarks that we need to follow. These are the basic standards that we need to adhere to when we, deliver a content. So once we standardize your production, okay, and then obviously you kind of have a supervision of about the quality of those content. So I think supervision becomes a central activity, but the developing content can be a scalable activity, so that you can have content creators from across India, okay, who adhere to your standard benchmarks. So then they deliver content, you share revenue with them, and now you have a huge set of content as per your standard. So I think, so then you completely open up your business. Also, the one worry area for most of the companies is, for example, if I give you business to the smaller guys, will they take over my business? So I'm sure it's going to happen in the freelance space, or early stage, it's bound to happen. But I think if you're here for a long haul, so I'm sure you're building your brand. I'm sure your company will be known for delivering engaging content continuously, repeatedly. Now that is something is actually you're creating. So if you ask me, you're not just creating content. The value that you're creating is your company's brand of, a company that creates engaging content. And right now the future is content. So I think now that brand, no freelancers from across India is going to take our brand from you. So I think if you mix that both, I'm sure you have a very, very robust business plan, a scalable and highly profitable for that matter.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kashyap bhai. Thank you, Chevy, for asking that question. If anyone is having a question, please raise hand. Just a minute. So yes, thank you so much, Kashyap bhai, for this amazing session. Mugam Bigai is requesting for value proposition canvas session next. So we will definitely look into that, ma'am, and we will check with the schedule. If possible, we will try to arrange. And Kashyap bhai's schedule, we will also check. He's very busy, so we will.
We'll get someone else to do that actually.
Yes. So I think the session was really very amazing. Everyone got engaged. I hope everyone has got answer to their questions, and we are very much reachable to all of you. There is an email ID I am writing down in chat box. You can drop an email if you want to ask about any question related to that. The email ID is thaiwomensurat@gmail.com for Thai women related communication. You can email to that. Also, I would like to announce for our upcoming programs, that is for Thai women programs. So on 8th of May, that is next Friday, we are going to have Shepreneur story session. In that, we are inviting one of the most amazing women entrepreneur who is having national, international exposure about her business story. And we will get to know more about how she has grown up to this amazing level. So that will be a very inspiring and motivating session. I hope we will see you again on that day. After that, on 15th, that is next Friday, we are going to have such a learning session again. We are going to meet Kashyap bhai again. We have booked him again for 15th of May. So 15th of May will be ideas open house kind of session where we will be discussing on variety of ideas. Kashyap bhai has planned very unique things for that. Kashyap bhai, if you can just briefly mention about that session.
Sure. So I think what happens during all these webinars is more of, it becomes a very one-way discussion. So I think ideas open house, or what we call it a what's your idea quotient session. So there, we will have a very, very open interaction with entrepreneurs and like-minded people, where we'll share and discuss ideas, we'll identify opportunities, so that it will help us shape ideas, it will help us identify the positives and negatives in our ideas. So when you're applying for the TiE Women or such programs, you do kind of brainstorming with like-minded people that will help us shape your idea better. So I think I have a structure format called what's idea quotient. Okay, so we'll try to evaluate idea with that structured format. Okay, and then we have a very, very interesting and engaging session, hopefully.
Superb. Looking forward for the session, sir. And so all of us, we will meet on 8th and 15th again. So that is exclusively for women entrepreneur session. Iske alawa, TiE Surat is always having entrepreneur related sessions, and for that we are having on 6th May, we are having one more session, that is meet the mentors. So mentors से मिलने का एक opportunity है जहाँ पे हम अपने businesses के बारे में ज़्यादा समझ पाएंगे, जान पाएंगे. So we have invited 2 mentors. One is Mr. CA Mehul Shah from Surat, and another is Advait Kullekar from TiE Pune is coming. So these 2 are amazing mentors. We will soon announce about this program and the link for joining the program. So please block your calendar. 6th May 5 p.m. This is the program for women entrepreneur, TiE Women program. 8th May 3 p.m. and 15th May 3 p.m. Again, we are going to have.
We have a session tomorrow also, 4 p.m.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Can you please announce about that? And
so we have a session tomorrow at 4 p.m. where CA Gauravi Singhvi is going to talk about 10 action steps post-COVID.
My question.
Hello, Sanjay bhai. I think we have lost your voice.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better, Sanjay.
Tomorrow at 4 p.m. where CA Gauravi Singhvi, President-elect of TiE Surat, going to talk about 10 action steps for post-COVID-19, and this session has been arranged in association with the DATA. So that is a dealers association for TV and mobile. TV and appliances.
Superb. So TiE is do follow TiE Surat page, and also for women entrepreneurs, we will share a WhatsApp group link with you all, so that you can join the WhatsApp group and then be updated about all the sessions we are doing in TiE and exclusively for TiE Women also. Keep following the channels of TiE Surat to know more about the upcoming sessions. We are coming up very exciting sessions about entrepreneurship in Surat. Thank you all. I would request Sanjay bhai to please close the session with a vote of thanks. Sanjay bhai.
It's a simple that we are thankful to all participants. We are thankful to keynote speaker, our own Kashyap Pandya ji, and we are also thankful to the chapter lead for TiE Women, Surbhi Saxena ji. Keep in touch with the TiE Surat chapter. You can keep in touch through with the number 91042 81818. Can you please type it out, Surbhi, for all of them? 942 81818 is a number for TiE Surat. You can register that number, and or either you can write it
Chat box में
Yeah, I'm posting. Ji, I'm posting.
Yeah. So with this note that we are thankful to one and all, we end the session over here.
Thank you, Kashyap bhai. बहुत बढ़िया सेशन रहा.
Thank you all for joining.